Hello there, and welcome to day number 25. Wow, quarter of a century in the Road to 2000 ELO Rapid Series. We're really close to hitting 1700 currently. Um, Currently at 1692, so a win would do us some good. I'm playing this opening with knight f3, and they're playing this d6 move, which is a little slow. I think this is called the Philidor, if I'm not mistaken. I remember this because I used to play this d6 move, and I don't think it's very good. With the knight coming to c6, I'm going to play d5, just pushing it out. And yeah, so hopefully, with a win here, we could potentially do pretty solid. I'm thinking here c4, but c4 blocks in my bishop, which I don't really want. Um, Maybe a check's not a bad idea, because I don't really know how you counter it. If you take with the pawn, I just takes, and then long-term pressure. If you take with the bishop, I'm okay with the trade. I'm also okay with moving my queen forward, so I think this is what I'm going to do. We're going to go with the check here. And either queen up. I also have knight c3 as a move. Let's think here. Knight c3 or queen d3 or even queen e2. Um, I kind of want to play queen e2. I think that's a good move. Helping the bishop if takes, queen takes with check, and then you win a pawn. So they're probably not going to take. It puts the queen on a more active square. Um, Now, what's the logic behind not playing d3 instead? Maybe it's so I can slide the bishop back. That would make sense, right? Okay, we're not gonna think too hard about it. I think everything's fine here. This also defends the pawn, which is nice. Now I'll probably take. I can slide the bishop back, but that seems a little slow. We're gonna just take, and we're gonna play either c4 or knight c3. Let's think about this one here too. Maybe I can play something else also. Maybe I can just develop the dark squared bishop. Maybe I can just castle. I think we'll just castle. Why not put the ball in my opponent's court, actually? My opponent's playing really fast. They're still doing this thing at this elo where they just play way too fast. I'm going to play c4 now. After pawn takes, queen takes is the idea. They can go for a queen trade this way. That's something to keep in mind. Okay, they're not doing that. And maybe now I can prevent it from happening in the future. Um, let's see. Let's go knight c3, covering this square. So if pawn takes, knight takes now. If here, then I gotta think a little bit, but probably just developing the bishop. This feels like a weakness being made on the pawn on d6, so they don't go for it. Here, either pawn takes or knight takes. I think I'll go knight takes. I don't want to allow this e4 pawn push. So I'll go knight takes, and this threatens the fork on c7. So probably what's going to happen is a trade of the knights, I would expect. Yep. Now I'm gonna go queen takes. This just attacks a rook, so they're gonna have to move their rook on the next move. And I'm gonna try to line up my rook on d1, develop the bishop somewhere here, limiting the king. Just looks really solid here. So let's go rook d1. Do I have anything better? Hold on, let's think. Maybe something like this in the future, not just yet. Let's go rook d1 though. They're probably going to play rook c5. If that, I have check, so we're fine. So yeah, rook d1. If here... Okay, I didn't see this move. Let's go queen a5 now, attacking the pawn. Oh, also I have to defend this pawn, though. But queen a5 is a nice move, because after knight takes, I have knight takes here, because pawn takes loses a queen. So this comes with tempo. Now I have to calculate this, right? Because it's technically a trade of pawns, so it's a little of a unique situation here. Because I could technically just hold on to the pawn, but that feels a little slow. We're going to play a little bit more actively. We're going to have some fun here. After knight takes on e4, is there any threat? Not that I can see. The knight doesn't have many squares. Let's do this. And my queen can't easily be attacked if rook here and then queen takes pawn. And now knight takes, the idea is knight takes on e5, which is a fun little move. I don't know how good it is, to be honest. All I know is that, okay, they're going after the pawn with more pressure, but can I not just... Huh, okay, maybe they saw what I was trying to do. Let's just check. I feel like this is fairly reasonable, and we can just at least keep the pawn on e4 now. Do I have anything better? The typical age-old question. Um, the bishop here creates threats this way, but the rook's always there. Let's think. I don't see anything better just yet. I mean, queen here, no, that loses a pawn. Let's go this way. Let's check. I'm also significantly down on time, which always happens when I talk this much. So we're going to trade the queens? Sure. I don't mind that at all. And let's guard the pawn. Let's guard the pawn this way. Because it also lets me play f3, which I like. I like being able to play f3, so I don't have to worry about this pawn anymore being a weakness, and there's no more queens on the board. So, you know, my king is a little bit more safe without any queens on the board. And we're going into probably an equalish endgame. Maybe I messed up some chances of getting a little bit of an advantage early on. I don't know exactly. But let's see what we can do here. I trust my endgame play pretty well. So ideas here, knight can't really threaten anything just yet, and if the knight moves out of the way, the bishop takes, so there's tactics on the board now. You know, the knight is an indirect defender of the bishop, so if bishop takes, bishop takes, you know, there's ideas here. Not anymore, though. Should I go backwards, allowing g5? Probably not. I mean, they can play g5 anyways. Still one little caveat. Knight a5 walks into this, which walks into this. Maybe we go for this instead. Knight a5, where does the rook go? What if the rook goes on to b6, and then bishop c1? Okay, let's try this. Pawn takes. Yeah, so here, and then I have bishop c1, which is a little slow, but... Or maybe I have something better. Hold on. Bishop takes, knight here? That looks good. That looks good, actually. Bishop takes, knight c4. Looks good. Yes, that looks good. So we are going to play an endgame where I have a knight versus an opponent who has a bishop. But I do think I'm going to win a pawn. No, I'm not going to win a pawn. Oh, wow, they took with the pawn. Was not expecting that. I was not expecting that one bit. But yeah, anyways, the idea is knight c4. After rook here, pawn up, probably. Yep. b3. Simple. Pawn up takes is fine. We don't mind trading pieces here. Okay, let's see how we can make progress in the position. Let's go... Let's try to get the rooks lined up on the d file. How about that? Or maybe it should be on the c file. I'm gonna do it on the d file. I'm gonna try to place my knight on d5. Actually, let me just do this first. Knight d5. The rook doesn't have access to c2, which is nice. And then so knight e3. Sorry, trying to play knight d5. I like this move. I think this looks very good. Notice how the dark squared bishop for my opponent is pretty closed in right now. So my knight is much better in this position than my opponent's bishop. Probably even going rook c1 on the next move is pretty solid, because that makes me control the c file. The problem with rook c1 right now is that they can just play here. So instead I'll go with this first. Hold on. No, I gotta think now. What's this move? What does that do? Can I just launch pawns? No, I don't think so. Okay, let's go rook c1. If rook here, then I gotta think a little bit. Let's go this way. And let's just go knight c4. So if pawn up, pawn takes, we're going to try to bring the rook onto d2. We're going to bring the king onto f2, and keep everything covered. Okay, going for pawn breaks now. Big decisions being made by my opponent. Big decisions. Pawn takes, king takes. I have a check, actually. I feel like I should go for this. I'm also really down on time, so I'm not going to think too hard here. I have a check. And where does the king go? I'm not too sure. Probably here. Here's bad. Let's play this first, maybe. Let's play g3 first. Still no way for my opponent to access my second rank, which is nice. Maybe rook d5 and then f4 is a nice idea. Rook d5, f4. I like this idea. I like this idea. They have bishop here, which is a little annoying, but then I can take this pawn. Oh, shoot. I didn't see that move. Okay. Slide the rook back onto d2. Now there's no more access to the second rank, and we can bring our king up pretty readily. Should I go here? Here, pawn takes, rook here, king can defend. Let's just bring the king up. My opponent's playing so fast. What in the world? Are there tactics here? Are there tactics? Well, first of all, I'm just going to go knight e3. He's going to play pawn up, and then I'm going to go back here, I assume. Or maybe he goes rook. Yeah, okay, sure. This I don't mind. Rook e2 becomes a pretty big threat. I got to watch out for this pawn, though. On the d file, it's a passer. Got to be careful. So we're going to move the rook away from the attack. Take with check here is a threat. And oh, I should have noticed that these are forkable squares, but here just looks like a nice move. Wait. The bishop's trapped. Oh, it's not trapped. Oh, but it's still good, though. Oh, can I trap the bishop? Here. Here loses a rook, a knight. Here. Maybe I could just go rook here first. Rook there, d3, rook c1. Oh, wait, there's some nice stuff here. Oh wait, no, the bishop can just go up. Never mind. Okay, let's think. Let's play this move though. Do we play this move? Oh my god, I'm running out of time. Okay, we're just gonna go here, which I think is bad, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm running out of time. Yeah. Okay. Now here. Yeah. Okay. Wait. This I don't think is as bad for me as I thought initially. We'll go knight b2. Bishop takes. That's fine. Hopefully they play d3 and not realize the pawn is pinned. Down to a minute on the clock. Why does everybody play so fast? Oh, there you go. Beautiful. I got check. Okay. Okay. Sure. I don't know what that does. Okay, let's think. He's gonna take this pawn. I'm gonna go here. Or maybe I should just go rook a2. Probably. All right, just go rook a2. Keep everything safe. He's probably gonna go there. I'll go here. Let's go here. Oh my goodness, I'm low on time. I'm really low on time. Try to think. Let's try to think. Knight here, knight here. Knight there. Get the knight in the game. Oh, wait. I just lost the pawn. Oh, okay, good. I think he's overextending a little bit. Let's go this way. Now there's no bishop on it, so this is protected always. It'd be really nice to trade off the rooks here, if I could. Let's go this way. I'm going to try to go rook here now, rook c2. Can I make a mate threat? I just realized. Can I make a mate threat? Okay, let's trade off the rooks. You don't need to get too crazy with it. I'm very low on time, so I'm just going to try to pre-move stuff. I think this should at least be a draw. Wait, what? Never mind. Maybe he can't make any moves. Sorry, I'm just a little stressed. I don't really know how to win this. Opposition. It's always a good thing. And we're going to go after this pawn instead. Whew. Okay, I have to win with the queen in 15 seconds. See if we can do that. Here. No! Oh, okay, I had 10 seconds left. This was winning, I assume? Or no, was it a draw already? It was a draw already. Okay. Okay, I feel less bad about it. Then I had to win here. Where'd I have to go? Let's analyze. Let's analyze. Oh man. Well, another one that should have been a win, probably. Let's see exactly how this played out. We started the game with e4, e5, knight f3, and this d6 move, which is the Philidor. So I remembered correctly. And here the right move is d4, or the book move at the very least. And after knight c6, I played d5. So solidifying my center with tempo, forcing his knight back, and just enjoying healthy development. Here, it probably, yeah, I think about it now, and bishop b5, going for a bishop trade isn't the best because it helps black catch up in development. You're developing a piece only to trade it off. So instead, I could have just gone like bishop d3, for example, if I wanted to move my bishop. The engine liked c4 the most, which is the idea that I initially had, because I wanted to go c4, knight c3. So the duly noted here. Queen e2 is fine. Apparently the best is bishop takes, but whatever. Bishop takes instead afterwards. And then castles. And this doesn't let me play c4, but I play it anyways, because I don't care. Apparently I should have played b4, which kind of puts my opponent in a little bit of a bind, because they can't really play a5, because then I take, and this pawn becomes a weakness, and they cannot obviously play c6 or c5, because then I take, and the pawn becomes a weakness. So, okay, fair enough. Here, I could have just taken the pawn on c6. After queen takes it back, I had queen d3, and I'm just better for a certain reason that I don't understand fully. But whatever, okay. So c takes on d5, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, queen takes on d5, and this is an equal game. After rook c8, I decided to go rook d1, trying to prepare knight takes on e5. Could I have played it? Is that crazy? How bad is that? Oh, wait, no, now the knight defends the queen. Okay, gotcha. Fair enough. Queen a5. So, okay, the logic was that, let's say they played a different move, just so I can show those of you who are not necessarily, who are newer to chess or not as high rated, you might not see this sort of tactic. There's this idea where if you have the rook and queen lined up, and the queen's only defended on the other side by one piece, which is the king, you can actually take with the knight, because after pawn takes back, if that happens, this is just mate in this specific scenario. So there's ideas where you sacrifice a piece to be able to open up an attack on another piece, so that's what I was trying to play for. But my opponent prevented it with this move. I went queen a5 here, eyeing the pawn on a6. My opponent plays the best move. I'm starting to realize people are playing good moves at this rating. And my opponent played this like a blitz game, essentially. So good on them for finding a lot of really, really good moves. But yeah, we ended up in this sort of equal endgame-ish scenario. Here I decided to go, and this is nice. I'm really glad I saw this, because h6, you would think, oh, I have to move the bishop, but this knight a5 move is really clever. And sometimes it doesn't work, because sometimes you have like a move like rook c5, and there's no real follow-up, right? Because then you have to move your knight out of the way, and then your bishop gets lost. In a case like this, it would be fine regardless, because then bishop takes before you move the knight. But I digress. Here, I also saw that after rook here, you have knight b7, which is a nice move, forking both rooks. And yeah, you at least win an exchange, and then so. So, knight a5, rook b6 is played. I take the knight, and the reason why they couldn't take back with the bishop is because of knight c4, although they could have, because they could have just slid the bishop. I mean, they could have just moved the rook here. Probably, right? Yeah, they could have. This doesn't lose a pawn, but anyways, they decided to take with the pawn. I thought that was interesting. Maybe, it's an endgame sort of technique. You're trying to get your king into the game a little bit easier. You make space for your king to come up. Usually, you want to stay away from doubling your pawns, because in the endgame, if you think about it, you have less promotion squares possible this way. You can no longer promote on the G file, which means that I don't really have to worry about covering the G file as much, and instead I can focus on the individual files where your pawns exist. And now, if you look at it, I have 6 of those promotion squares possible, and my opponent only has 5 currently. So, just a good little heads up as to why you don't want to necessarily double your pawns, especially approaching the endgame. Um, at the start of the game, and you'll see grandmasters play, and they'll do it without really thinking too hard about it, because they understand positional structure much better than we do. But as a typical rule, best to stay away from it. After rook c6, I decided to play b3. Apparently, I should have gone knight e3. Knight e3 makes a lot of sense because the knight looks really good on either of these outposts. And because it's an outpost specifically, and it's a strong outpost specifically because this bishop can never go onto the d5 and f5 squares. So, interesting thing to note. Yeah, I messed that up. But then I eventually got around to it. No, I didn't. Oh, no. I don't know why I didn't do that. So, here, h4 is apparently the best move. Cutting off the king. If the king goes here, then... So, h4. I was worried about king here, but then you have g4 check. Letting the king take. And then going... Knight... Oh, knight f5. Oh! Well, that's nice. Oh, I didn't see that at all. Alright, well... You win some, you lose some. And you draw some, as we learned today. So, going into the game, and actually, I was losing here. Wow. So this is a losing move, because after king e6, rook back, d5 is supposed to be played. And after d5, I was thinking knight e3, right, which attacks this pawn. And then bishop c5. Bishop c5 pins the knight to the king. I can't do that. So I'd have to go knight b2, which looks awful, objectively. And then, yeah, these pawns, the weakness is gone already, because I undoubled my opponent's pawns. My opponent has the passers, right? I have nothing to stop this. I have no pawn that can stop the pawn on their d file. And these two pawns can work together to create a pawn that's a passer on the e file as well. So, yeah, black is definitely better in this position. But my opponent didn't play it the most accurately, and I ended up being able to consolidate around... Where? Here? No. Still no. Oh, wow. I guess I'm lucky I didn't lose this game. Oh, here. They lost the pawn. They hung the pawn, and I'm still losing, apparently. I'm still losing, and I don't really know how. Bishop d4 check. Sure. King g2, yeah, I don't want to go back rank because of rook check idea, so king here. And now rook c3, and I guess I can't stop my opponent from winning a pawn or two. Back. Fair enough. Okay. I would personally try to probably play Rook D2. What does the engine say about that? Rook D2 is terrible. Wait, I had good night. I would have wanted to open up X-ray attacks on the bishop. That was my idea, but I didn't realize that this knight was just hanging. This happens sometimes when you set up pins that you forget about them because they don't come to fruition. So, anyways, this didn't happen. I went King F1, Rook C3, Knight B4, and then here he shouldn't have gone for the pawn. He should have gone for attacking my knight. So my knight has barely any squares. This is the only square left. And after A5, Knight C2, Knight A2. So Knight C2, for example, you just keep the bishop on the board with something like this, and then there's long-range threats against my king. If this knight ever moves out of the way, this is really deadly because it's almost mate. Here, only move. Here looks really good. Here becomes the only move. And yeah, the king is pretty closed in now. It's almost completely trapped. So you lock the king out of the game, and the king is a very important piece in the endgame. Okay. Ooh. Sorry about that. Okay. Rook b3. And this was a mistake because I had knight takes a6. Yeah. I don't know. I missed that. I decided to keep the pawn. Now they played a5, and now I realized my knight has almost no squares. But I went back, and then I went back, and here they win if they play. Just take the pawn. Yeah, they should have to take the pawn. That's true. They could also just go a4, but I don't know why they didn't take the pawn. Anyways, I realized this quickly. This is the perils of playing fast. Like, sometimes you're confident, but sometimes you make a mistake that's easy. And now the game is officially saved after I'm able to play knight e1 and then trade off the rooks. So I played the two best moves in that scenario, and now my opponent doesn't have enough pieces. And here I'm winning because they dropped the pawn. And I played this wrong. What am I supposed to do? King f2. King f2, king g3. So king f2, if king b4, king g3. The second they take, what you have to realize is that, yes, their pawn is technically closer. It's only 4 squares away, but they have to spend a move moving their king out of the way. So, because I have the first move, I get to... Actually, we're at the same distance, my bad. But because they have to move their king out of the way, I promote first, and I'm able to stop them from promoting on a1. So that's something important to note. And yeah, here this was a loss until it was a win here. If I went king e6, which I didn't do, but then I did it on the second try, got to get opposition. And here I just should have gone f7. But yeah, pressured for time, and I thought maybe I could promote this pawn, but there was nothing to be done here. And this is just a draw, and it is a stalemate. And we're still at 1692, so maybe tomorrow is going to be the day where we hit 1700. We'll see. We'll see. I have faith. I have faith. I believe in myself and in Joe Hendry for the wrestling fans out there. Okay, so I'll catch y'all tomorrow. I just took the nighttime bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, so that's why the background looks a little different. If you were wondering, I forgot to address that at the start of the video. And we're going to be in Kyoto for the next 4 days or so you'll see this background for a couple of days. But yeah, hopefully this is the background where we'll hit 1700 and hopefully beyond. Fingers crossed. Let's see. I'll see you all next time. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Sayonara.